Hey there, welcome to day 1382 of What You Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, documenting the journey as I transition from the brick and mortar corporate world of business to the online world of business and back and forth. So it's a lot about business, a lot about life, a lot about years of experience, lessons learned along the way. But in this segment, since my vision has been declining for, at least 3 decades, since my 20s. So, okay, 4 decades. Wow. I forget how old I am. I used to journal and document everything and write everything down in these little notebooks. I have literally hundreds and hundreds of these notebooks of things that I've learned and studied and lessons learned in life and different courses and things I've taken. I've got those are 3 Get Up and Go Challenge alone notebooks right there. And now we're doing No Nonsense November. In the month of November, in the months in between the Get Up and Go Challenge, started the Get Up and Go Challenge in April of 2020 as a response to the pandemic, mostly secretly to keep myself moving, to get up and go and keep moving in the days that just felt really heavy and slow, and like it would just be easier to sit in front of the television and veg out in front of Netflix or Hulu or I don't know what, HBO, all the other different streaming TV stations, to just stop and wait for the world to come back to normal, right? But early on, within like the first day or 2 of the whole pandemic thing, I realized that's not going to happen and that's not going to work for me. So what am I going to do to keep moving during this really challenging time, that unprecedented times that we've never faced, not in my lifetime, and probably, hopefully, we'll never face once we get through this crazy, chaotic nonsense of political crap again in our lifetime. I don't want to face it again in my lifetime. And I don't think anybody else wants to as well. It's getting to be a little crazy and just hard to fathom some of the stuff that's going on in our world right now, especially here in America. It's things that are just, and it's not really going on. It's just going on in the media and the games that are being played out by a very small percentage of people. And we have to remind ourselves of that and just continue to live our life in alignment with what is right for us. I find it really interesting that, and it's hard, especially for younger people, because they have less experience, to live true to themselves. And they've been brainwashed their entire lives to believe certain things. And it's really heartbreaking when you realize that you've been lied to and deceived. And, it happens in our personal lives. It happens in our professional lives. It happens with our politicians. It definitely happens with the media and with social media, and we get led to believe certain things are true, and then we find out that they're all a lie, and it's disheartening. But we don't have to let it be disheartened, because we always live true to who we are, our core values, what's important to us, our beliefs of what's right and what's wrong, and that's how we continue to move forward in a world that seems like it's really, really broken. Off on a strange tangent. So I guess it's kind of related. Today, our idiom, our money idiom for the month of November, we're doing money idioms that have something to do with money. And there are literally thousands of them. So I just made a big list and I just randomly pick one every day. And today was to cut our losses. And so I used a little scissors and chop the losses. And losses can appear in a lot of different ways in our life, right? We can have financial losses. We can have losses of time and energy. We can have losses of emotions. We can have negative emotions and feel losses. We can have grief. We can lose people we love and care about. We can lose relationships. We can lose our confidence, and a whole slew of other things. There's a whole lot of different ways to feel lost in the world, right? And then I took that and I used that for our No Nonsense November message of knowing when to quit. Now, this is a personal area for me that I'm not awesome at. I tend to believe that there's always a way to figure things out. There's always a solution to any problem. And if we're just committed, we can make it work. We can figure it out. It's evidenced in my 25-year failed marriage. I'm like, there's got to be a way to figure this out and make this work. And the truth was, we were just not the right people for each other, right? We had some good times. We had 2 beautiful children and some fun experiences. But for the most part, we were like oil and vinegar, and not, values-wise suited, but core values, a couple of them were off. And if your core values don't match someone else's, it's not going to work no matter how much you try to force it. So Still got a cold. Excuse me. Choking up over this one. So, cutting our losses. I am ready to cut my losses and be done with this cold. But again, just another experience I have to go through to figure out, why do I have a cold? Why am I struggling with this cold? Why am I pushing against this cold? Because the longer I push against it, the more it seems to hang on. So talking about knowing when to quit, knowing when to take a different turn, knowing when to go down a different road, try something different, do something different, pick a different outcome, pick a different life, pick a different story for ourselves. So I not only shared my thoughts on it, but I also said, hey, I am looking for some advice on how do you go about knowing when to cut your losses? How do you know when to and where? I guess it's living in alignment with who you really are and knowing yourself and knowing what you will and will not accept, making your own boundaries. Knowledge and experiences support our personal growth. And as we grow and develop and get to know ourselves better, which is what our annual challenge is all about this year, getting more centered, getting to know ourselves better. And today was about happy action and knowing that action won't always make us happy, but happiness rarely comes unless we're acting or doing something or engaged in our life. So those are just some of the things that we're talking about. I've been thinking that this is really a frustrating segment for me because I want to add value in it. And I feel like over the last month or so, as I've had a cold, I've just been blubbering and whining and complaining about having a cold and not adding a whole lot of value. So my question today is, what would be valuable to you with respect to the journey of business ownership, entrepreneurship, online, offline businesses? What are your questions? What are your concerns? What are you struggling with? What things like me? When do you know when to cut your losses and make a different choice, go in a different direction? You know, I think of subscriptions and things that I've belonged to for literally years and years, almost half a decade, that I don't even use. And I hold them, I keep them because I think I might use them someday. And I'm locked in at this great introductory price. I mean, it's just crazy, some of the things that we do. And how do we know, when do we just stop doing that and let go and cut our losses and realize I can always sign up for that again. I can always get Netflix again. I can always get whatever again. I can always resubscribe to a magazine or resubscribe to an online software subscription, things like that. Like, here's an example. I have a chat bot. I have ManyChat. I have never used ManyChat. I've had it for three or four years, I think. I've had a monthly ManyChat account, and I don't do any messaging through ManyChat. I don't even know how to use it. Somebody set one up for me, and it turns out that it shut down my Facebook page because Facebook changed their algorithms in 2020 that you can only have a certain number of tags, and I was using tags you're not supposed to. So it took away one of my pages with thousands of people on it because, there's no way to communicate with Facebook to get it back. Every time I send a message, it says, cannot deliver at this time. Please try again later. I mean, Facebook is the most frustrating company on the planet, which isn't a life lesson learned. The bigger a company gets, the harder they are to deal with. The bigger a company gets, the more removed they get from their customers, the worse the customer service and the harder they are to deal with. The harder it is to get questions answered and get an actual human being to help you with something. And unfortunately, you're not allowed to fix it yourself. There's no way to go about solving the problem and fixing it yourself. They have to, they unpublished my page. So I have to let them know I didn't break their terms and conditions. I took off the chat bot, and how do I get my page back? You know, it's thank goodness I don't have all my eggs in one basket like a lot of people do. That would be a good piece of business advice. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, especially when you don't own the basket. If I put all my eggs in my entrepreneurial business that I'm creating and I own, and I'm not dependent on other people to make sure whether that survives or not, that's okay. But putting all my eggs in Facebook, YouTube, any other social media, any other business, any one supplier's basket, a big no-no, and an example of how to cut your losses. Make sure that you have multiple vendors. Make sure that you have multiple sources of income. Make sure you have multiple sources of everything that you need for your life. All right, I'm rambling. So ask any questions that you might have so that I make sure that I start answering those questions and giving real world advice and experience that you can use right now to help to grow and build and supersize your business or create the life that you want in any area or aspect of your life. All right, Get Up and Go Challenge will start on December 1st. It'll be our 10th 30-plus day Get Up and Go Challenge, where we cover something called the SOAP framework, which is SOAP. It's just a little framework and a problem-solving, decision-making challenge process that we install in our subconscious so that dealing with changes and challenges that come along the way in all of our lives become as easy as breathing, as automatic as breathing. And we're guaranteed to have a better result after we experience a change or challenge than before we experience it, because we've applied this framework on a subconscious level. So we don't even have to think about it. We just automatically have better results. And why is it a 30-day challenge? Because it allows us the opportunity to actually apply the SOAP framework to all these 9 areas and aspects of our life and make sure that you've got an example and have seen a real life example, because I use myself as a guinea pig, unless somebody else wants to volunteer, and then we use them. But as for each of the different areas and aspects of our life, how do you apply this SOAP framework so that it becomes automatic? So you've seen an example of all the different ways that you can, not all, but each different area and aspect of our life that you could apply it to. And then you think about, well, how can I do this? And you practice it during the challenge. You do it, do a single daily action. You do an action item every day to make sure that you are applying and learning, because nothing happens until we take action, right? We can think about things and fantasize about things and sit on the couch and imagine our ideal life. But if we don't ever get off the couch to make something happen, then nothing happens. All right. Have an awesome day. If I can help you in any way, ask. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow.